The effective one. My wife 26, me 28. We've been married almost 8 years. We've been together for 10 years. I'm really the only guy she's been with since she was 16. Obvious now that she married too young. I love her more than anything, despite what she has done recently. I know I could forgive her if only she would have a change of heart and recognize her mistakes and emotional immaturity. A little more than a month ago she told me she wasn't happy and was thinking about leaving me. She gave me all the reasons in the book except for the real reason. She was having an emotional affair with a co-worker. A week later she left. A week after that I found out she had started sleeping with this co-worker the day she moved out. I approached her, and I'm pretty sure I said all the wrong things. I called her a B and a coward. She was furious. A few days later I apologized about the name calling. A few weeks after that I actually gave her a birthday present with a note apologizing again for the name calling. I decided I wasn't going to wait to just see if this affair blew over. I sent out a mass message to all of our family and friends, using the template provided. I found out through the grapevine that she was pissed, saying that I was trying to embarrass her and slander her, and that this is a private matter. I sent her a few texts saying you have no idea how much this affair is hurting me. I told her that I'm sorry you're upset about the mass Facebook messaging, but that the reason I sent it was to get support from friends and family so that you will make the right decision and end this affair, not to embarrass you. I then went on to say you need to respect our marriage and end this affair at least until our marriage is resolved and settled one way or the other. I then said, luckily you have a husband who is a changed man because of this, and is willing to heal and rebuild. I truly love you, and would walk through hell for you, even if you don't deserve it right now. Well, she is not responding, and seemingly refusing to talk to me. Please note that before this happened, we had a very loving, committed marriage. It's like something has exploded in her brain. We were trying to have a baby 2 months ago, 1 month before she left me. We just bought a second house, and now she thinks she can just walk away from those financial responsibilities. Before the exposure technique, my thought was, just go no contact, and maybe she'll wake up one day and maybe she won't. Well, I woke up and realized I don't want to wait. I am either going to save my marriage now, or just cut her out of my life completely forever, as much as I will always love her. So, my next plan of action is to coerce her to go to counseling with me. This is going to be my line. She is currently living in our old house with some relative renters. Look, I know you want to move out and get your own apartment. I have done my budget, and I have found out that I can SQUEK buy and take care of both houses. I will be willing to do this, and I will sign uncontested divorce papers, if, and only if you go to counseling with me. Not necessarily to reconcile, but so that we can better understand where each of us are at, and so that we can resolve this peacefully. Don't you think after 10 years of giving my life to you I deserve at least that much? I should also mention I also sent 2 letters to her place of business. One to the owner and one to the CEO. I don't think they have an HR department. They should have got those letters yesterday, but I have not heard anything about it. I've also decided that if she says no to the counseling, I am going to tell her, well, think about it for a week, this is a big decision. And in the meantime, I am going to organize an intervention from family and friends to try and convince her that I deserve at least couples counseling. Another thing I should mention, from my objective perspective, she is in complete denial about the reasons she left me. She thinks it has nothing to do with the OM, her own words. Me and OJ, me and OM are 2 completely different things. No children, thank God. This is completely new. She has always been loving, loyal, and committed. She turned into a new person overnight it seems. She is the love of my life, and I am completely willing to do whatever it takes to make her see the light. I would be willing to spend years rebuilding our relationship and trust if only she was willing to. I just don't want to wait a year before she realizes that she really screwed up. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I have been a pretty great husband. She even laughed out loud once at the notion of my cheating on her. That's how much she trusts me. I have worked so hard on my career to give her every material possession she could ever want. I would always tell her how much I love her. Physical affection was always present. Even after over a month, I am just still so shocked and confused by this. I have talked to his wife. I talk to her all the time on Facebook. I have not talked to his parents, but she has told me his parents are very, very upset. If I go see his parents, what should I say? Also, I have tried to get contact information for the OM's friends, but his wife's side of the family won't give me the information because they don't want to stir up any more than they have to, since they have already decided to get divorced. He's in his mid-20s. I believe he is still living at home, and his wife moved out to her parents maybe. I am not sure on that. His pastor, Bishop, is actually his dad. I wish I had a way to contact all of his friends and family. The ones that I know at this point have been uncooperative in giving me that information. He has since deleted his Facebook account, as has my wife. There are no children involved on both sides. I was able to find a Google Plus account for the I was able to send about 4 messages out to people that know him, one of which had his same last name. Don't know how good that will do, but it is something. Now to find out how to contact his parents. I live in Utah. The lawyer I talked to seemed to think I wouldn't have a case against the company. My plan is to send the letter, move back into my old house next week, and when the drama of that is over, I will go visit the parents. I am pretty sure when I move back into the old house, it is going to make her furious, especially when I tell her is not allowed on the property, that if she is going to continue this affair, she has to do it elsewhere. Should I insist that if she chooses to stay here that we sleep in the same room? Should I just settle into her room and let her move to another room if she wants? I guess what I am asking is how can I move in without love busting? How do I make her feel like I'm a good alternative to come back to while intruding into her current pattern? She will probably see that my vehicle is there, and then she will probably drive off. She will come back later hoping I am gone, and probably drive off again. Eventually she will have to confront me. She will ask what I'm doing here, I'll tell her, and then she will probably immediately start gathering all of her stuff together, and most likely go move in with the OM. She will be very upset during all of this. Even if I don't end up reconciling with her, I can see how going through this process is going to teach me so much. One of the hardest parts about this is turning down dates with some really cute girls. My natural instinct is to go to someone that shows potential interest, rather than to pursue a person that wants nothing to do with me and is willing to betray and hurt me like she did. I just reiterated again that if she wants to leave, that's okay, but she is very welcome here, that I'd love for her to be here, that I'd love to have a friendly conversation with you, and I'm sorry you're upset. She replied, what am I supposed to do? I have work tomorrow. I got to find a place to go to right now. I don't want to be near you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want anything to do with you. And stop apologizing to me for being upset. Why am I enjoying this so much? I wish I could remind her of all the great times we've had together. Obviously, she is in no mental state to entertain those thoughts though. So, she is obviously going to be leaving tonight. So, what is my next step? Never mind. Next step is wait for divorce papers. Then tell her all that stuff you told me to tell her. 2. With her this furious, and she will be furious for a good while about this one. Should I invite her to my party this Saturday? I also told her to relay a message to her son for me. I told her to tell him that if I misrepresented him in any way when this whole thing started, that I apologize, that I am not angry, I hold no ill will, but he needs to leave my wife alone and never contact her again. And my wife texted me back after I got stern with the finances. So, you expect me to pay for homes that are no longer in my name? And how long am I supposed to do that? I have my own debts and responsibilities now. If you wanted me to continue to pay for those, you shouldn't have had me sign them over so quickly. I didn't intend to leave you with that debt. I was willing to work something out, but I know you can afford it, especially with cousin's help. If you ask me to continue to pay for the houses, I will just request alimony from you. I don't want to do that. I don't want anything from you. I just want to end this. I don't want to have any financial ties to you, positive or negative. I am not coming back, so let's just finish this. I am meeting with a notary tonight to sign my half of the paperwork. Should I just not respond? OM just wrote me back. This time I will not respond quickly. Here is what he has to say. Obviously I angered him. First off, don't tell me what to do. I'm an adult and can make my own decisions. Second, you would be wise to know it's over. Cut your losses and move on. She doesn't love you. She's not coming back. And the more you try, the further she runs. You can fight till the bitter end, but the time to fight was long ago. Not just recently. You lost her a long time ago, and I am not sure you ever really had her the way you think you did. I'm sure there were many times that were great, but those times are past. I'm not making her stay with me. She's choosing to stay with me. But fight if you must. Just know the end has come and gone for her, and will soon enough come for you as well. And the OM sent me this. P.S. If you're reading this, it means I have sent it to you. I have thought long and hard about whether or not I should reach out to you. It's a hard situation that we're in, and I didn't want to complicate things or muddy up the water by interjecting. But I think it's best that I put my thoughts down on paper. Specifically as it relates to you and I will be completely open and candid about my thoughts, being 100% honest. I don't know where or how to start, so I will simply start from the beginning, at least from my end. This is my side of the story and these will be my thoughts and feelings, not influenced by anyone else. I have told WS that I wanted to reach out to you, but not what I would say or any details, so you can rest assured that these are simply my thoughts. I know you have been in contact with my wife, as well as my parents, but I will ask that you keep our conversation between you and me, and I trust that you will do so. My wife is an amazing person. She is beautiful and fun. We laughed often and rarely fought. In fact, I can only think of a few occasions when we actually had an argument. She is really intelligent, and is one of the strongest women I know. To have gone through as many health struggles as she has the past few years and still have such a positive outlook on life is truly inspiring. Things between us from an outside perspective were great. We were each other's best friend. We met while both participating on the UVU track team. She was young when we first started dating, and we were married before she was 19, by just a few months. We fell in love fast, but dated for about a year before we were married. I knew there were things about her that I would like to be done differently, like I always thought she was a little messy, and her parents warned me that she has always been that way, but I hoped that because I am cleanly and organized that she would catch on. I admit, I wasn't always my best at making sure things were always put away, but for the most part I was pretty good at it. She knew that was an area that I wanted her to be better at, and she did get better at it over time, but it is still an area that I wish could have been better. I never would say it to her face, because I don't think it would be taken very well, but my wife can be emotionally, and just in general, immature and manipulative. I often felt like I was being manipulated. I don't ask, and it's definitely not a requirement, but I would love for my wife to make dinner on a regular occasion. Wouldn't have to be every day necessarily, but it makes me feel good, and after a long day of work, it's nice to come home to a clean house and dinner. I love to cook, and I am okay cooking the meal if she's had a busy day, or cooking the meal together. But I don't want to come home every day and together brainstorm what we're going to do, run to the store, try to figure it out, and then take the time to prepare it, etc. It's too stressful. These are things I tried to communicate to her, but for some reason the message was either never interpreted, or I wasn't communicating things in a way that she could understand. During the time that we dated, my parents worried that I would get myself in too much trouble because we were so physical. We had great chemistry. During the first several months of marriage, maybe almost a year, we had a fairly decent intimate life. Bonding is not the most important thing to me, contrary to what the wife has been saying to you. Bonding is important, yes. It's a part of a relationship that brings two people closer together. There is a difference between bonding, which is a form of love, and lust, or purely bonding. But I am not, and was not, willing to sacrifice my whole marriage simply so I could get off. My wife never really enjoyed bonding, even from the first night. When she was handed tools to help her prepare for our wedding night, she basically threw them under the sink and did not use them to the extent that the doctor recommended. This made it for an uncomfortable wedding night for both of us. During that first year we had a somewhat regular routine, although I am not sure how you gauge what regular is, because it's different for every couple. As the year went on and into the second year, the frequency slowly started to dwindle. There were times when it was literally weeks, if not months, that we were not intimate. I tried at times to get her in the mood, but for her, cuddling and kissing was enough. Foreplay was almost always out of the question. She just didn't enjoy it. I guess it must have felt lustful or gross to her. So rather than warming up and getting ready, she would simply ask that we do it quick and get it over with. In December of 2011, her family decided that we were going to spend New Year's 2012 in Mexico. We left the day after Christmas and returned after the New Year. That was the last time that the wife and I were intimate. Almost 2 years ago. During the months that we were not intimate, I began to turn toward videos because I wasn't being satisfied by my wife. I am not proud of it, but I did it. I thought I had tried as best I knew how to communicate to her that I was not happy with that part of our life, but it seemed to no avail. The end of May, first week of June 2012, my wife was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. She didn't even tell me. I heard from my parents, who were notified by her parents. I don't know why she didn't want to tell me she had cancer, if it was just shock, or she didn't want to scare me, or whatever it was. But she did not tell me. I took the news pretty hard. During the next 3 or so weeks I was out of the office at work. I was at work when I found out, and I left work immediately. She had surgery a few days later, as soon as it was possible. I spent 9 days in the hospital with her. I didn't eat well, I didn't sleep well. I couldn't stand the thought of leaving her, and I didn't know what I would do if I lost her. It was during the next few months, between the 2 surgeries, that I went to get several massages. I didn't go with the intent of getting extras, but once when I was offered, I accepted. I didn't know what to expect, but it felt good, and I was getting attention from a girl that I hadn't gotten in several months. I never went as far as getting a BJ, and certainly did not sleep with them. I wasn't proud of what I had done, but I knew that I hadn't been intimate with my wife for almost a year, not even job with a handful of exceptions. And I now was being told that it would be several months before her body would even be able to handle bonding because of her surgeries. I confessed to my wife what I had done, and she of course was devastated. We attended a counselor who said that was my way of coping with her cancer and the thought of losing her. We tried to read books and get help where we could from outside sources. We confided in our bishop, I confided in my parents. Things started to get better between she and I. We still didn't sleep together, but there was an occasional intimate moment. My wife's treatments went well, and she had completed chemotherapy by the first week of January 2013. We had a new puppy that her mom helped me pay for, because my wife really wanted a dog and the one she wanted was a little more than I was willing to pay for. Things were on the up, except for the intimate part of our life. She couldn't get herself to the point where she could feel comfortable being intimate, in any setting or way, because I had visited the girls at the massage parlor. My wife and I went over 17 months without being intimate. I don't care what you say, that is not a marriage. That's a friendship. I had been at my new job at the company name for several weeks, if not months, before I ever had a conversation with WS. Of course, I thought she was beautiful, but honestly, I was intimidated by her. We had been speaking for several weeks before anything of how we were feeling in our marriages ever came up. When we both knew the other was unhappy, we spoke about it a little more candidly. Neither of us had any intent of doing anything about it, and certainly there was no intent to have an affair. It was just nice to have someone who was in a similar situation to speak to about it. You were in the process of purchasing a new home, and she told me that at some point you two had been trying to have a child, and that it had been a difficult process, one that you had been trying for some time. I asked her why she was trying for a baby if she was unhappy, and she told me it was because she hoped having a baby would help give her some purpose and help make her happier in her marriage. We never hung out outside of work, with the exception of one time when we ran a quick errand together just to talk a little more. We were in the middle of a good conversation, but it was time to go home for the day, so we decided to run to the store together, but nothing happened other than conversation. I never wanted to ruin her marriage, and I certainly was not interested in a one-night stand with WS. I didn't want to ruin my marriage either. When I got back from a week-and-a-half-long trip from Thailand, she told me she had moved out. It was a week later that I went to the house to spend the night. Emotions were running high, and we both made a decision that has affected many more people than just the two of us. It has affected families and friendships and a whole lot more than that. It has caused my membership in the church to be in question. I admit that what I did was wrong, and that I should have done things differently. I should have ended my marriage with more integrity than I did. As I said before, my wife is an amazing person. I honestly hope that she finds someone that will appreciate her for all of her qualities, the good ones and the bad ones, and that she will be happy. She deserves that. I love my wife. We make fantastic friends. We just are not good as a married couple because we can't fulfill each other's needs. It takes two people for a marriage to work, and for that matter to fail. Both parties have to admit and accept fault in the situation. I know you are a logical and reasonable person. I don't want to get in the way of you trying to get your wife back. I don't blame you. I don't think WS handled the situation the best she could have either. From my perspective, you were blindsided. But to provide some clarity, your marriage did not fail in a weekend. It was a culmination of the past 10 years. No amount of pleasure from a weekend affair is going to ruin a marriage to the extent it's broken. No matter how much I love my wife, or my wife loves me, we simply are not a good fit. We cannot fulfill each other's needs and be completely happy. I am not going to tell you to stop trying with WS, although from what I can tell, the harder you try, the further she runs away. I am not telling WS anything in regards to her relationship with you either. I am not holding her hostage. She knows that if she wants to leave me, she is more than welcome to go. I'm not brainwashing her. We haven't been planning this for months. Hell, we didn't even really expect things to go as far as that weekend. I don't want to rush things with her. I'm not encouraging her to turn in divorce paperwork, or to move in with me. I am just allowing her to make her decisions herself. If she chooses to spend time with me, I gladly accept that. She's an amazing woman and I honestly love her. But I think it's important for you to know that I try not to speak to her about your relationship. Yes, this is an affair, and we should probably not have a relationship until both our marriages are final, but I am not going to not see her if she chooses to see me. I love to spend time with her. Again, I don't want you to think I have some control or power over her, or that I am just in it for the bonding. That's not the reason I love to spend time with her. I am happier with her than I have ever been, and she tells me that she is happy too. Should things continue to go well between she and I, great. But if they don't, we'll chalk it up to a good learning experience and move on. Just know that from what I have been told by WS, if she does leave me, she is not coming home to you. For her, it's finished. Over. No matter how hard you try or how much you want her back, she is no longer in love with you and she doesn't want to come back. I know that's hard to hear. And I don't want you to think that I am the one telling her all these things. I just hope that hearing it from yet another person will finally allow it to click in your head that it's over. I hate that it had to be this way. I hate that I had to reach out to you. But know this, I love my wife and her family. I don't want to speak ill of her or of any of her family. What I did was wrong, and I should have handled my situation differently. I think what WS did was wrong and she should also have done things differently. But we are all adults and we can make decisions for ourselves. I am not going to tell WS to stop things with me. She is able to make her own decision, as am I, and so are you and my wife. But it's time to move on. You will not win her back with any amount of coercion or persuasion. WS is a strong-minded woman and will do whatever she wants. You know that about her. Again, I know it's hard to let her go, but you will not be happy and you will not be able to move on with your life until you realize that your failed marriage has been a culmination of a lot longer than the past 2 months. It's been a long time coming. I'm sorry you didn't realize it earlier, but I don't know what to say about that. I will not give you my cell phone. I don't want to be inundated with calls or texts or emails from you or your friends or family. But feel free to respond via email and I may or may not respond. End of email. Oh, can my wife not see this? This guy is a boy, not a man. Maybe my wife just prefers dysfunction. Since my wife pulled out the alimony card, I am going to call my lawyer tomorrow and ask if she even has a case for alimony, and if I have a case to get her to help pay for my mortgages. Carrots are really tough right now because my wife does not want to talk to me. I am going to invite her to a party this weekend, but that's all I got. Any ideas are appreciated. I am still trying to figure out how to approach the company. Not sure if I should try to approach the owner myself with this email OM sent me, or if I should have a lawyer do it. Feeling really weird this morning. For some reason I keep having this fantasy of just sitting my wife down and talking to her about everything I have learned from MB. That I understand she doesn't love me anymore, that I don't particularly want to be with her right now either, but that I know we both loved each other at one point, and that I know we can build that love again, that I have a plan for recovery that if committed to will ensure an incredibly happy marriage for both of us. And then I remember she's in the middle of an intense love affair, and that no matter what I say it will fall on deaf ears. So, I'm highly considering making a big decision here. I'm giving myself some time, 4 or 5 days, to think about it before I meet with my lawyer, but the more I think about it, the more I am leaning towards making this decision. I am thinking about filing for divorce on grounds of adultery myself next week. Why? Not because I'm giving up, no, but because I think it's the right decision for me at this current time. My wife does not care at all that we're still legally married, and is not letting the fact that we are married influence her decisions in the slightest. Whether we're married or not when, if she has a come-to-Jesus moment, I do not think will matter. There are no laws that say we can't get remarried. While my wife doesn't care if we're legally married or not, I do care. Right now, it is negatively affecting me. The looming divorce is adding stress to my life, and to be able to get it over with will give me some breathing room. Also, when I enter into Plan B, I want to be able to just throw my hands in the air and be free of it all. If I enter into Plan B, I want to be able to start dating right away. I know by the time I get to Plan B, I will be emotionally ready to move on and find someone that will appreciate me for the man that I am. A woman that is willing to date a married man is no woman I want to date. Does getting a divorce hurt my chances of reconciliation with my wife? Perhaps it does, as it will make her affair more convenient, but I am starting to feel like I need to protect myself and my future a little bit here. Even after we're divorced, I will still continue on with Plan I will still make WS feel loved and be there for her, and hopefully I will be there to catch her when, if she falls and hits bottom. Right now, my marriage to this woman is making me feel suffocated. I feel like ending it is the right thing to do, even if it serves as a detriment to my end goal. Update. In a nutshell, I feel nothing for my wife anymore. I still love her, I always will, and will always do anything for her, but right now I have no desire to be with her. My continuing on with Plan A is based off of the purely objective viewpoint that I know we can be happy together, and I feel I owe my marriage, my spiritual marriage, not my legal marriage, all my efforts. I feel like I've put forth more effort than what most husbands would put forth. I want a divorce so I can start dating again. I want and deserve a wife that will love and commit to me. You guys talk about having a timeline or a cutoff time for Plan A. Well, if I start dating and find someone that I want to start a relationship with, that point in time I feel will be my cutoff time for Plan A. Some of you may think me going about it this way will make me a wayward as well, but I really don't see it that way. This is how I feel. This feels like the right decision. It also seems like the logical decision. I didn't just start thinking this. I've been building up to this for the last month. Edit. You guys are making some really good points though. I am going to be thinking about this very deeply for the next week. She is the love of my life, even if I don't feel any romantic love for her anymore. Big breath. My wife just texted me asking me if I'll be home today or tomorrow because she has the paperwork ready for me to sign. My hopelessness comes from the fact that she is so determined to never be with me again. She has told me countless times that she is never coming back, that she thinks we're just incompatible. This is a woman that is extremely hard-headed and stubborn. My hopelessness is why I've been thinking of Plan D. Apparently my WS texted a picture of OM to her sister today, not even ashamed in the slightest. I am just now discovering that my WS does not see or value marriage in the same way that I do, or most people do. It's like I was just some boyfriend she dumped or something. It boggles my mind. How is exposure supposed to do anything if she isn't even embarrassed to send pictures of her on to family members? Talk about extreme dysfunction. She's either fogged out and crazy, or she was just never truly the woman I thought she was. I haven't given up yet though. Today I drafted up 4 copies of an exposure letter that I'm sending certified mail tomorrow to her business. Included in the letter are the emails that Om has sent me, plus screenshots of the emails showing that he sent them as a representative of his company. I'm mailing them to the owner, the president, and both managers. I'm hoping it will get him and maybe even her fired. Next week I am getting with my lawyer to talk about suing OM and also divorce options. What a crazy ride this has been. Okay, she texted me this. Will you cooperate if I drop off the paperwork, or should I mail them, have a constable bring them to you? It would be easiest if I could just bring it over. I replied, if you want me to consider looking at them, you should come over and sit down with me for a minute. Please understand though that I am not interested in a divorce, WS. If you come over, I will take them and look them over. She replied, it doesn't matter if you're not interested in a divorce, it's not up to you. All you can do is postpone it. I replied, just come over, talk to me for a minute, and I will take the papers, sit down with my lawyer and go over them, then decide if I want to sign them. She replied, please do go over them, but you know I'm not asking for anything, I just don't want to be married anymore. When will you meet with your lawyer? I replied, I will only go over them and consider signing them if you come over and talk for a few. Don't worry, I don't want to talk about us, it would just be nice to see you for a minute is all. She replied, I don't want to chat with you. I'm not comfortable around you anymore. If you're saying that you won't sign them, I will just have them delivered." She replied, "If a constable delivers them, you will have 20 days to sign or contest, or it will default to whatever I've asked for, which again is nothing. I would be meeting you in person if I dropped them off, but I'm not going to waste my time if you won't accept them and tell me you will sign within a reasonable amount of time." Trying to decide how to respond. This is what she said back. "We are not getting divorced because of adultery. Even if that was included in the forms, it's not going to stop this. That will just end up costing us way more money, but the result will be the same. You don't love me, you want to possess me. This is not love, threats and ultimatums. Despite what you believe, you do not know what is best for me, so stop trying to get me to come back to you. That is not the right decision for me." She just texted me back, "I don't want to meet you for coffee. I will have a constable serve you next week. It's up to you how you want to handle it from there." Should I respond with anything? Or just silence? I feel like I should just repeat the last text message, that I will be there if she wants to talk. Final update. Meeting over. She was emotionally cold to me the whole time. Was obviously very uncomfortable. She couldn't look me in the eye. When we got to the part where I wanted to talk about us, she just stared off into space with her mouth partway open, emotionless, like she wasn't even paying attention as I poured my heart out. I recorded the whole thing, so I'm going to transcribe what happened. I think I made some tactical mistakes in hindsight. But what can you do? Me, AWS. Her, I'm just going to get something to drink. Okay. Her, I didn't see your truck outside. Oh, I parked out back. She comes to the table with her coffee. Me, how are you? Smiling and cheerful. Her, good. Cool. She gives me a notion of confusion of why I'm looking happy. I'm just happy to see you. Her, yeah. What have you been up to? Her, just working. Me, how's work? Her, good. Did you ever get that raise that you were looking for? Her, yeah, I got a raise like a month and a half ago. Oh really? So how much are they paying you now? If you don't mind me asking. Her, $11. Cool. You deserve more than that. Her, I know. What did they tell you about that? Are they not? Her, we just did a ton of layoffs. Oh really? How come? Her, it's the slow season. Is it like permanent layoffs or just seasonal layoffs? Her, it's seasonal. Have you been catching up on Game of Thrones at all, or no? Her, I don't really want to talk about TV, BS. So, you haven't been catching up on it? Her, no, how would I? It's really good. Her, I'm sure it is. You need to watch it. Her, I will. So, what are your plans? Are you wanting to go to school or? Her, yes. I can tell you're kind of uncomfortable talking about these things. If you want to say anything to me, feel free. Her, I think I've said everything. Okay, well, if you don't want to talk, there's some things I'd like to say, if that's okay. You're probably going to react to this negatively. All I ask is that you take what I say into consideration. Think about it, don't just forget about it. Just try to take it for what it's worth. So, about that text that you sent me last night, saying that you didn't think that I loved you, that I see you as a possession. Her, you're not acting like it, meaning that I'm not acting like I love her. You need to know that I don't see you as a possession. I see you as my wife. When we got married, you committed yourself to me for life. I committed myself to you for life. No one forced you to do that. No one forced me to do that. Her, I understand that. That was a completely voluntary action. And so, you are no more a possession to me than my arm is a possession to me. My arm is a part of me. I consider you a part of me. You're not a piece of property to own. I was just a little confused as to why you said that. Her, you act like I'm being controlled right now. I don't think you're being controlled. Her, and that I can't make a decision for myself. No, that's not what I think. Her, that's exactly how you're acting. You're telling me everything I'm doing is wrong, that everything I'm doing is a mistake. You're telling Om that he can influence me by ending it, or by telling me I need to go back to you, like what the hell is that? I never told him that. Her, okay, you told Suitor and Waiting the same thing. I understand that you could have construed it that way. Her, that's what you said. Me, I don't want to argue, but I think you need to know where my mindset is right now. Because I think right now, you think I'm still madly in love with you, that I'm desperate and crazy, and I would do anything to get you back. You need to know that nothing is further from the truth. You need to know that over this last month and a half everything that I've gone through, and everything that I've done has. She gets up to go get her coffee. She comes back and sits back down. Me, anyways, everything that I've gone through, and everything I've gone through, and everything you've done to me has caused me to fall out of any romantic love that I had for you, WS. At this point I love you like a brother loves a sister, I love you like a parent loves a child, or a child loves a parent. I don't feel any romantic love for you anymore. So, knowing that, you'd probably ask why I am still doing the things I'm doing. There are two reasons for that. The first reason is, I did marry you, and I did commit to you for life. I made a very sacred vow to you, and I'm not just going to roll over and break that vow. I take that vow very seriously, and when push comes to shove in the end, if that vow needs to be broken, it will, but I am not going to give up that easily. The second reason, and most important reason to me, is that through this last month and a half, as I'm sure you can imagine, I've done a lot of thinking about what I could have done differently as a husband. Why you fell out of love with me, why you didn't consider me your best friend, and I have picked it apart and thought about it some more. I've read books, I've been talking to counselors, and I've come to realize the things I could have done different, and the things I know that I will do different in the future, whether it's with you or with somebody else. And I'm very excited to implement those things. And I know that me and you have the potential to be best friends again. I know that me and you have the potential to have a very happy marriage together, probably happier than we can even imagine. And because I know that, that is the other reason why I am doing the things that I am still doing. I'm really sad right now, because this may be the last time I ever see you or talk to you again. Or at least one of the last times. Like I said, you're a part of me, you've been everything to me for the last 10 years of my life. I need to tell you that if you go through with this divorce, if we get divorced, I need to protect myself. I will not be friends with you anymore. Protect yourself from what? Please just listen. I will not be able to be friends with you anymore. I will never be able to contact you, see you, or talk to you ever again. That makes me extremely sad, but that's what's going to happen if we end up divorced. That's your choice. It is my choice. You don't have to do that. I know I don't. Long pause. Those are the things that I wanted to say to you. I went on to talk to her about the divorce papers. I said that I will take them to my lawyer and that my decision will be based on his advice, but that right now he is advising me to counter on ground of adultery. She got a little upset about that, saying it won't accomplish anything. That I'm full of crap, that it's my choice, not the lawyer's choice, and that I'm just trying to push the blame to the lawyer. She went on explaining what I needed to do to fill out the paperwork. When all was said and done, I asked her for a hug goodbye, but she refused. I just said, okay, and I walked out. And a few days later, I can't believe this, she is texting me, having the balls to ask me for money. She thinks I owe her money right now because she made a mortgage payment with money that I gave her when she left. She is insane. I don't even know what to say. She is crazy. This is what I sent her. You didn't pay the mortgage. I did with the $4,000 I gave you when you left. Cousin's payment to you would have been to help you make May's payment, which you did not make. I did. Your financial issues are not my concern anymore, as you've definitely let me know that you do not plan to help me with both our mortgages you have left me with. No, I am now obligated to take responsibility for both mortgages that are under your name. You will now get a free awesome credit rating I will continue to give you at the cost of extreme financial stress to me. If you want to talk about our marriage, then your finances will then become my concern again. Are you saying you are not going to pay me for your car and school? And the email she sent to me after. I haven't brought this up because I wanted to spare your feelings, but now I feel it needs to be said. Yes, I'm happier now than I can ever remember being with you, or before you, for that matter. I was happy the day I moved out, before anything ever happened with Om. I instantly felt like I was free of a relationship that was technically a marriage, but to me felt hollow and robotic. I was generally happy, that part is true, and I've said it over and over again. If I hadn't have been, it would have been that much easier for me to leave. That being said, I believe I am a pretty optimistic and overall happy person, and I didn't truly understand what a happy marriage should be. Because of that, it was pretty easy for me, for a long time, to go through the motions, to just accept that this was my life, you were my husband, and our dysfunctions were a part of our relationship. They were normal, and nothing to worry about. But I looked at friend couple, even suitor and waiting couple, for a time, and questioned, why aren't we like them? Why don't I want to be with BS all the time? Why would I rather be with suitor in waiting, or other friends, if I have a choice? Why am I so irritable around him all the time? I didn't want to feel that way, I didn't want to be bitchy, and a lot of the time, I ignored many of the things you did that bothered me, but I didn't want to live like that. I didn't want to settle anymore, we're just not a good fit. We don't work well together as a couple, we are not compatible, in a lot of ways. You know that you are not an observant person, you are not a thoughtful person, these are facts. I'm not saying this is a good or bad thing, it just is. I can say this confidently, having known you for over 10 years now. That is why it does not surprise me that you believe I am making a huge mistake, that you are, for some reason, the best possible option for me right now. Yes, you have been practically oblivious to the state of our marriage. You have taken it for granted. You have not been paying attention. Our friends were not surprised by my decision to leave. They were aware. They noticed things. They knew that I was not happy. Even they can now say that we were not a good fit. They can see that. Why can't you? You use the analogy of me burning alive, dramatic much, but whatever. A comparable situation comes to mind. You're leaving the church. How do you think your parents felt about that, at least initially? Do you think they believed, they knew, that you were making a huge mistake? Possibly the biggest mistake of your life. They still believe, I'm sure, that you are on the wrong path, that you will eventually wake up and realize the error of your ways and return to the church. Do you appreciate the way they've handled your choices? Do you think you would have the relationship you do with them if they had tried to pressure you? I believe they did the right thing in respecting your decisions. As an intelligent adult, they understand that you will ultimately do what is best for you, even if you do occasionally make mistakes. Despite the circumstances, or what you perceive the circumstances to have been, surrounding my decision to leave, it was not sudden. It was not impulsive. It was a long, thought-out process of questions, debates, and discussions with myself and close friends and family. I apologize that you could not be a part of this, but it was not your decision to make. It was not about any of the changes you've made. I'm so tired of repeating myself. Please understand this. In my experiences, and apparently in Suitor-in-Waiting's, his GF, and all of our other friends as well, you do not want to hear it. You don't want to hear what they have to say, and you certainly don't want to hear what I have to say. I've pretty much gone insane. All you care about is the affair. You wanted something or someone to blame, and now you have it. The affair is separate from our separation and divorce. The timing is an unfortunate coincidence that you can't seem to wrap your head around. I'm sure it feels so much better to point your finger at OM than to accept that you and I just weren't working. I believe in time, when you find someone that's crazy about you, you will fully understand what a marriage should be. I would also like to say that it was never my intention for us to have the relationship we do now. If you recall, before I left, it was uncomfortable, but we were able to carry on a normal conversation, even laugh a little. Technically, yes, I cheated on you. From my point of view, I was done, and I had moved out of the house before anything happened. I understand that this is not acceptable to you. That's fine, I get that. I chalked up a lot of the crazy you've done to the fact that I cheated, but you should know that it is because of it that I can barely look you in the eye. You are not the person I married. It's like a switch was flipped, and you went to crazy town, calling OM's parents, telling them my house was full of alcohol and marijuana, changing the locks on the house when you knew I still had things there, when the dog was there. What the hell? Moving in, suddenly, when we had agreed to be separated. Apparently inundating our friends and my family with messages on Facebook, asking Suitor-in-Waiting not to enable me. What does that even mean? Do you honestly believe that I require any kind of support from my friends, or anyone for that matter, to make the decisions I've made or am making? Do you think if a friend told me I couldn't bring OM to a BBQ that I would end our relationship and come running back to you? How does this make any sense to you? You say you're not desperate, so what is your excuse? Talk to your lawyer, do what you feel is best for you, and let's end this so we can move on. I do not need your protection. I don't want it. I'm not asking for it. So stop doing what you think is best for me. That's not your decision to make. It never was. End of email. At this point, I have absolutely no desire to ever get back together with her. The stars would have to align, or move into extreme misalignment for that to happen. I'm very happy with my current girlfriend, and I hope this relationship lasts. Like comment, it took some time for OP to realize there are a woman waiting for you out there. You just need to open your eyes.